You're watching this show, so you're well aware it is time for Money, Power, Politics. Please pay attention to this story. In a major shift, AI company, you might not be familiar with them, they're a behemoth, Anthropic, has officially dropped its hallmark safety pledge. The pledge had included a commitment to delaying AI development that might be dangerous. But today, the company said it would no longer do so if it believes a lack of significant lead over a competitor. It comes amid an escalating fight between Anthropic founder Dario Amodei and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth over how the Pentagon could use Anthropic's AI technology. Anthropic said it would not allow the Pentagon to use its model for mass surveillance of Americans or the development of weapons that fire without human involvement. I'm just going to say this again. The government's basically saying we want to mass surveil the American people, or we would have attacks that are just totally automated. There's not even a human involved. But according to multiple reports, Hegseth gave Anthropic until this Friday to back down from those safeguards and allow the military complete, unrestrained access to the technology or face punishment from the administration. Just hours ago, Axios reported that the Pentagon has already taken the first step towards blacklisting Anthropic with a potential designation of a supply chain risk. That penalty is usually reserved for companies from foreign adversaries. This is extraordinary. I can't even believe I'm telling us. Our nightcap is still here. Okay, David, what is your take on this?
So Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, who has just carried out dozens of strikes of people in boats. They may have been trafficking drugs. So drones that are flying overhead that don't even have human beings in them, these boats are an imminent threat, and therefore this Defense Department has the right to kill more than 100 of these people in these boats. And he's basically saying, you have to give us this technology and we will use it for what we deem to be lawful activity. They've just
or you're
killed,
done.
Yes, but they consider lawful activity to be attacking men in boats who maybe have, rifles that can't even reach drones, that's a legal way, that's a legal way of killing someone, that they somehow represented a threat to the U.S. military. So it's frightening to me that he's saying, trust me to have killer robots, as you said, or mass surveillance.
Trust me, or I'm going to put you out of business, essentially.
And what it is President Donald Trump declaring it lawful. The president declared that we're in a war with narco-trafficking organizations. And people in Congress, after not pushing back on the president for years on military force, are now saying, hang on a minute, but is the president himself unilaterally declaring we are at war with narco-traffickers and we can kill them at will?
This founder of Anthropic,
he's a good guy. He's supposed to be a good guy.
He was at OpenAI, and he left over concerns that the company was prioritizing speed over safety. And now this is where we are.
Do no evil. That was Google's when they came out 20 years ago. That was their mantra. Here's the thing. He is one of the good guys, right? And so let's see how this goes. But I think we'll look back in 20 years and we'll think this was a blip, because if we don't figure out how to use this technology in so many different ways, we are going to get smoked by whoever does. The Chinese are not debating these sorts of issues right now. And so when you think about it...
But Dan, the Chinese aren't debating these type of issues because they're A-OK surveilling the Chinese people.
I know, but the point is that we might find ourselves well behind the Chinese in 10 or 15 years from now, and the implications are going to be so massive.
I agree. Okay, sure.
I'm not defending the ultimatum or anything like that.
I just think it's important to pull back for a minute and say, our government is telling this tech company they're not being evil enough.
State capitalism, this has been going on for the last year. And so a lot of folks, listen, the markets keep chugging along. The S&P is at all-time high. No one really cares about any of this. Sadly, we care about it, I guess, right here.
But no one cares until it all blows up.
Right. And I also just think, we've seen tech companies do really, really bad stuff, pretending to be good. Here's a tech company that's trying to be good, and the government is like, no, we need you.
They're trying to be good. This company and OpenAI, they are wrecking balls right now. They are destroying so many industries. The software industry here in the U.S. that we have been a global leader in is getting absolutely destroyed. We're seeing it across many different industries right now. So the point is, this is a power that's I don't mean to sound like sci-fi or anything, it's all coming. So we better figure out how to use it. We better figure out how to regulate it. And I think the point of this conversation is we're not doing that right now. So that's maybe where the focus has to be.
Are they figuring it out, or do they just want to surveil the American people?
And in the wrong hands, Pablo, this is dangerous, dangerous technology.
Yeah, and look, Dario Amodei and Anthropic, like, I don't dispute that. By the way, Claude, among all of the LLMs, like, that seems to have really taken a lead in terms of just like, oh, wow, this is an interesting product for consumers to use to, you know, change various tasks that they're already doing. I get that. I'm not disputing that AI is useful in various key ways. The thing that I think is fascinating is that he has taken the position that is basically a longer view on what happens when Trump is out of office, right? So, like, I think about it weirdly, and I'll make the comparison here to bring us back to the Epstein stuff, to Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie's thinking to himself, at some point, this guy's not going to be in charge, and I want to be the person who said, I have a vision for how America should behave that transcends an obviously transactional and corrupt president. Dario Amodei is saying to himself as well, if everyone else is just going to transact right now, and I can be the AI company with the market efficiency of the longer view, then that's a good place to be. And what Hegseth is calling him out on is, well, let's test it. Let's see if we can actually put pain points on you in the present such that you regret having the longer view. And if he folds, if Anthropic folds, I think that's dangerous both in terms of the lack of regulation. It's also dangerous because it shows that the quid pro quo transactionality of this administration will have conquered all of the major players in an industry that is incredibly vital, if only because our economy has decided to say it is. And so is there also a follow-up question? Are we entering too big to fail territory, right? Let's say even that the technology is good and it works. Okay, well, are we then just locked into it even if it turns out that the economics underneath it aren't what are promised? That would be my concern as well.
Dan?
Well, the economics right now, there's just a massive misallocation of resources. We've just kind of talked about the cost of compute, the cost of electricity, what the impact is going to be on consumers, but also businesses. And it really does have the potential to really, there was a blogger or somebody who put out this report the other day, and he was calling it ghost GDP. He means that the productivity is going to go so much higher for folks using this technology for companies, but it's going to allow them to fire millions of workers over the last, over the next, 5 to 10 years or something like that. So again, when I think about the wrecking ball, as I just described, it's coming. Companies are scrambling, figuring out how to use this technology. In the near term, the politically uncouth thing to say is like, yes, we have this productivity gain. We're also going to be able to fire people. They're not going to do that it's just the politically suicide sort of thing. So they're walking a fine line.
All right, new topic. Warner Brothers, Paramount, Netflix. Tomorrow, Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos is headed to the White House. This is a day after Paramount CEO David Ellison was a guest of Lindsey Graham at the State of the Union. Where is this thing going?
No, we're good. I mean, look, there's a real, we have seen this again and again. Shows get canceled like Colbert in order to do mergers like what we saw with Paramount. There's been quite a lot of this sort of trying to get regulatory favor by trying to make networks or programming that Donald Trump likes. I think this is the next chapter in this story. We'll stay tuned.
Where is this going, Pablo?
I think it's very funny that Lindsey Graham gets to be the cute girl at the party. David Ellison gets to sit down next to him, and suddenly, wow, very, very, very popular. Look, I think that it's all quite obvious what's happening here. And the question is whether it matters.
Well, it does matter, but isn't the question what's going to stop it?
So it matters in terms of regulation. Everything I see when it comes to the FCC, the FTC, every regulatory agency, has been basically the see no evil, hear no evil. It's that image of monkeys going like this.
The one smart thing, though, is that Democrats did say, these mergers take a long time. And they said, he may not be in power and it may still be going. And you may find us on the regulatory side in 3 years. So I do think this does take a long time, and this may still, and Democrats said they wanted to investigate it, so this could end up being actually a huge logistical nightmare for them.
I think it's about the president getting control of as many television networks as he wants, period. But I also think it's a test of regulation. Like, can we regulate? And to the success of Republicans, that word is, regulation is like bad and never works. But I worry we're going too far. Like we had to regulate alcohol. We had to regulate, highly addictive drugs. We had to regulate television. And so, there should be some role for our elected leaders and some kind of umpires in government to regulate things and try to come out with a balance between what helps the market and what helps the public.
Dare I say smart regulation?